our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is A New Beginning Meets Stiff Resistance. And that is because there surely will be a new beginning underway, because planets have shifted now and gone into Aries, the sign of new beginnings. So today, Uranus is already in Aries, and that's the planet of sudden, surprising change. And then Venus and Mercury are also in Aries, and they're at 2 and 4 degrees, so they're in very early degrees. And that simply means that there can be a new beginning that sort of propels forward, in fact, in a very sudden or surprising way, or else in a way that can create a sense of urgency for one reason or another. And the reason it can propel forward is because there are other planets that are in fire signs supporting the sign of Aries, and that's because the Moon and Mars in Sagittarius are trining Uranus, Venus, and Mercury in Aries. And so it can be, since Mars is a malefic planet, it can be that people with evil intent or hidden agendas can be riding a wave of some sort of moral conviction right now. In other words, there can be other people that want to have a new beginning, get off the ground because they have a strong moral purpose. And those people with a little bit of evil intent or hidden agenda can be joining that group simply because then they can surge forward with the others. And that is why a new beginning can really get off the ground now, because there are 5 planets in the dynamic, action-oriented fire signs. But at the same time, there aren't any planets in the air signs, and so that simply means that this isn't a time for chit-chat or gossip or discussion or debate or even compromise, unfortunately. And so this is simply a time when something is really going to get off the ground and does have a lift-off, and it can get started. But it is going to be very stiff resistance. So how could a new beginning slow down? Well, the stiff resistance is because the 2 planets in Sagittarius that are trining the 3 in Aries are very strong, and so that can fortify the sign of Aries and help a new beginning get off the ground. But there are 2 other planets that are in harsh aspect to the sign of Aries, and they are stronger. And that is because Saturn is in Capricorn, and it's the ruler of the sign. That's what makes it so strong. And Pluto is in Capricorn as well, and they are squaring the sign of Aries. And that simply means there will be some stiff resistance to some sort of new beginning, and there could be enough of it, since these planets in Capricorn are so strong, that eventually a new beginning could be canceled or extinguished or eliminated in some way by May, when Uranus finally leaves Aries. And so we have to look at what could be stopping this new beginning from completion. And it is simply that Saturn is a very strong planet. It rules Capricorn, and Capricorn rules the 10th house of your career and of your public standing or your reputation in the community. It also rules people pretty high up in government agencies or corporations. But remember, I said that Saturn in Capricorn is squaring the planets in Aries, particularly Venus in Aries. And when Saturn and Venus square or oppose each other, that is an indication of betrayal. So one reason a new beginning may not get off the ground or last for too long is that there can be a betrayal involved with it in one way or another. And then Pluto is also squaring the planets in Aries, and Pluto is a planet of deep psychological transformation and change and deep truth, the kind of truth we all hide from ourselves even. And it is the co-ruler of Scorpio, and it is sextiling that sign, so it is very well placed. And that simply means, since it is squaring all the planets in Aries, that the overriding truth about something really will be upheld, and it will not bend. And that too, that overriding truth about something could offset a new beginning, or even it could even negate it or cancel it out in some way. And that is why the stiff resistance is pretty strong, and it can threaten some sort of new beginning, even to the point of canceling it out. And that would be too bad. But on the other hand, maybe it's meant to be, because these planets in Capricorn, Saturn and Pluto, are in that sign, and it's the first time in our lifetimes that that has ever happened. And so we are sort of in a new era of higher expectations and harder work, and having to have respect for things that are very time-honored and traditional. And yet at the same time, Jupiter is in Scorpio, the sign of justice, and it is trining the moon, or the Sun and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces rules things hidden behind the scenes, such as imposters or cover-ups or conspiracies. And Jupiter is going to be the first planet now in the heavens to go retrograde, and it will go retrograde or backward on its orbits tomorrow. And it will stay retrograde until mid-July. And so that simply means that as it's going back in its orbit over areas that it's already covered before, that the net of justice is going to encompass more and more people between now and summertime. And so we have that to look forward to as well. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think that you are certainly involved in one way or another in a new beginning. You could be planning a trip, because Sagittarius rules travel. You could be deciding to go back to school and get a little better education. You could be just wanting to suddenly rebel and go in a new direction in order to escape something. Well, you could do that too. And the reason why you could do that right now and move forward on something is because your sign has more planets in it. Remember, Mercury and Venus are in your sign along with Uranus, and they are being trined beautifully by the Moon and Mars in Sagittarius right now. So yes, you've got backup. It's not all good backup. In other words, people can have strong feelings and convictions about some moral question right now, so they could be very sincere, but there are other people who can be sort of riding that wave of strong moral convictions, not because they believe in that, but because they want to hide their true intentions right now. And so you, in your new beginning, if you are too quick off the mark, you could be getting a little bit entrapped by people who really don't have your best interests at heart, Aries, and that's why you really shouldn't move too fast right now. In other words, it would be a better idea if you planned your new beginning right now, or if you got your budget together, or you prepared for it in some way, but I don't think that this is a time when you really should advance or sort of step into it right now. And the reason why is you would meet such stiff resistance that you might be risking the success of a new beginning by beginning it prematurely. And that is because Saturn and Pluto are squaring all the planets in your sun sign, and Saturn squaring Venus indicates there is a betrayal somewhere around. That's why you should sort of keep your new beginning under your own power, or in just the planning or the budgeting stages, and not let too many other people know about it right now, Aries, and that way maybe you can protect it and prolong it a little bit. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, in the background of your life where all those planets are in Aries, including your ruler, Venus, you could be contemplating a new beginning, and you could be working on that a little harder than other people realize right now. And you could be getting a lot of backup from those planets in Sagittarius that are trining the planets in Aries. But Taurus, you know, you better think twice, because you actually have two choices. One is this new beginning that you're working on behind the scenes, but the other is the fact that Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which are harshly squaring the planets in Aries, are actually trining your sun sign, Taurus. And that means your second choice may not be as exciting. It may not be all everything that you want, but it can offer you long-term security. It may not be giving you rewards immediately, but it can offer you a lot of reward over time. And so with Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn trining your sun until the year 2020, I suggest that you not take that high road. Instead, take a road that is slower and more steady. It may even be that you should remain where you are, Taurus, because you know you're on solid ground. You can understand your surroundings, you can understand the conditions, and it may not be exciting or thrilling, and it may involve harder work, but the long-term rewards are going to make you much more secure, and they will raise you up higher than even a new beginning that you're thinking of right now. So think twice before you take a big jump, Taurus, because that long road that isn't quite as exciting could make you far more secure and happy in the end. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when you still can't afford to comment on anything. Oh, gee, your sign does rule communication and chatter and talk and gossip, and boy, you still can't do any of that because there aren't any planets in the air signs. There's nothing supporting your sign, Gemini. And at least for one more week, you can be vulnerable or threatened by other people, particularly people that don't have your best interests in mind. And that is because the Sun and Neptune in Pisces are squaring your Sun, which means you don't know who to trust, and people can be very deceptive. They could be covering things up, or they could be involved in a conspiracy that they certainly don't want you to know about, and it may even be challenging you in some way. And then Mars and the Moon today are in Sagittarius, opposing your sun sign. And that is why you really cannot respond to people who have very strong emotions and strong moral convictions right now, because they could somewhat overwhelm you. And that you don't need that, Gemini. And you also don't have a lot of defenses set up right now. And that is because there is too much action going on in the fire signs and nothing going on in the air signs. So for one more week, you need to stay quiet, Gemini. And the reason why is both the Moon and Mars are going to move out of Sagittarius. The Moon's going to move real quick because it only stays in a sign 2.5 days. But Mars is no longer going to be opposing your Sun in another week. It will move into Capricorn instead. And that's what you need to wait for before you express an opinion. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, I think that you are going to be perhaps shocked or somewhat unpleasantly surprised by somebody who wants to make a new beginning, and also by the fact that they can be meeting stiff resistance. And that stiff resistance, as well as the new beginning, can be aimed a little bit at you, Cancer. And the reason why is the 3 planets in Aries square your Sun, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn oppose your Sun sign. So I do think that you are going to be somewhat adversely affected by a new beginning once it starts meeting stiff resistance. On the other hand, I don't think you're going to necessarily be hurt financially, and that is because Scorpio is trining your Sun, and so are the Sun and Neptune in Pisces. It's just that I think that you are in for some sort of shock or unpleasant surprise, and it's not one you're causing, and it's around you. It may not happen exactly to you, but you would still feel it, Cancer, and that's why you should try to be a little bit more cautious, sort of stay by yourself this week instead for protection. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, I'm sure you're really busy right now, and the reason why is there are 5 planets in fire signs, and they're all trining your Sun sign, Leo. So Uranus, Venus, and Mercury in Aries are trining your Sun sign, and so are the Moon and Mars in Sagittarius today. So you are on the go. You could be traveling. You certainly could be starting something new. You could be really excited about it, and if you're not excited, somebody else is, because that Mars and the moon in Sagittarius can be sort of pushing people along, because it can denote people with very strong emotional response or strong moral convictions right now. So I think you're on the go, and you can be very excited. I mean, after all, fire signs love action. But at the same time, you cannot forget, Leo, that everything costs money, and Jupiter in Scorpio is still squaring your sun. It will be until November, and tomorrow it goes retrograde. So there's going to be a little reminder along the way, no matter what you're beginning, that life can be expensive, and that there even could be some old bills from the past or much higher costs connected to a new beginning that you want to make. And that could sort of stop you for a while, Leo, and it certainly slow you down. And that simply means that if there's something that you don't quite have the money for, that means that a new beginning could meet stiff resistance, and you would be affected by that. But, you know, you've got a lot of energy, Leo, so I hope you really put it to good use right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, just like Gemini, you need to be cautious for about another week. And that is because you don't know who to trust either, because the sun is conjuncting Neptune in Pisces, and they are both opposing your sun sign. So there are people behind the scenes that can be involved in conspiracies or cover-ups or being very deceptive with you, and they can certainly be omitting certain facts that are very important right now. So I wouldn't trust anybody, or at least not trust the people that are making something sound better than it is, because they'd be lying. And then the moon and Mars in Sagittarius are squaring your sun. And that means there can be people that are really clamoring for attention. They're making a lot of noise. They are trying to create some sort of disturbance, perhaps because they have evil intent, but then there can be other people that just have very strong moral convictions right now, and they're certainly running into, you know, they want to ride a wave of action and noise, whereas you are a person that likes to rely on quiet and solitude and problem solving and figuring out facts. So you need to stick to the things that Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn represent, because they trine your sun sign, Virgo, and they do represent the possibility of a betrayal involving a new beginning right now. So keep your eyes open for that. I don't think that involves you, but it's around somewhere. And then they also represent the fact that the overpowering truth will be upheld, and everyone will have to respect that and conform to that. That won't bother you, but it can be bothering a lot of other people right now. So I hope you spend a sort of a quiet week, because in another week, neither the moon nor Mars will be squaring your sun, and things will calm down. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, there aren't any planets in the air signs again, and in fact, just like Cancer, I think that you can be thrown off balance or receive some sort of unpleasant shock or surprise, because there are so many planets in Aries right now, and that means that Uranus, Venus, your own ruler, and Mercury in Aries are all opposing your sun sign. So somebody wants to make a new beginning, and that could surprise you, or in an unpleasant way, because it could be so sudden. It could be with a sense of urgency. And then Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are strongly squaring your sun sign and the planets in Aries, and that simply means that there is going to be an insistence on doing things the right way, and for that reason there can be, for instance, management changes in corporations or government agencies that could be a little upsetting to you, because you'd have to maybe change something or meet higher expectations. Or it can simply be that there can be some budget cuts somewhere, and that could affect you as well, Libra. So you might be a little thrown off balance right now, and my suggestion to you is that I don't think it's really necessarily you that is going to make the new beginning right now, but whoever wants to do that is going to meet stiff resistance. So it's a little bit better idea for you to stand back and wait and see what happens, because things will change. And there is an element of betrayal around somewhere in your life, Libra. And I think you just need to watch and see what's going on. And then you can make a decision about what to do. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, since Jupiter is going retrograde in your sign tomorrow and will stay that way until mid-July, since it's going backwards in your sign and covering ground it's already covered before, you should be aware, Scorpio, that the all-encompassing net of justice can be closing in on people, and it will be even more people than before, because Jupiter in your sign is being trine by the Sun and Neptune in Pisces, which rules hidden things behind the scenes, including imposters or cover-ups or conspiracies. If you have been involved in any of that, you certainly would be somewhat exposed by summertime, and you'd have to deal with that. But if, on the other hand, you could contribute to helping the truth come out and helping justice be done, that would be a good thing. Because still, someone's going to want to make a new beginning, and it will be propelled forward quickly because there's a lot of support for the sign of Aries right now. But what will it mean in the end, particularly when it meets stiff resistance? It can mean that a new beginning can be canceled or nullified in some way. So if you're thinking of making a new beginning, Scorpio, I would say the timing is not good right now. You shouldn't do it. And the reason why is that yours is a money sign. And sooner or later, things have to be paid for. And if there is a chance that a new beginning takes a wrong turn or gets canceled somewhere, you wouldn't want to be losing any money. And that is why you should maybe wait a while, at least until summertime, before you make a new beginning. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, today, the moon and Mars are both in your sun sign, so your emotions could be really getting stirred up, and they could be getting stirred up with a sense of urgency about a new beginning. And so I don't think you're going to slow down right now, Sagittarius. So you might be planning a trip because your sign rules travel, but it also rules the courts and foreign countries and higher education and international organizations, all of which you may be involved with, as well as religion and philosophy. So you could be feeling a sense of high moral conviction about something, and that may be why you want to make a new start. So yes, the planets in your sign can be very supportive of a new beginning right now, because Uranus, Venus, and Mercury in Aries are all trining your sun sign where you have the moon and Mars. But on the other hand, these planets that can be supportive of you right now are going to be meeting very stiff resistance from the planets that are right ahead of your sun sign, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And so I would say you better think something over very carefully before you move too fast, Sagittarius, because there will be stiff resistance. And that's because the overpowering truth is going to be upheld. And that would be the truth about things that involve high expectations or upholding traditional values that have been proven and have been in place for a long time. And so, since I'm pretty sure that's going to affect a new beginning adversely, you wouldn't want to step into something. I think you do want to step into something right now. But what goes up must come down, Sagittarius, and I think you better do a little bit more thinking about the consequences of a new beginning before you make one. Just make sure you've got everything well thought out first. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when I think you can be feeling as if you've really got to do something right, and you're very, very serious about that. And that is why you can be involved in one way or another with some sort of betrayal. The betrayal would have something to do with a new beginning, since the planets in your sign, Saturn and Pluto, are squaring Uranus, Venus, and Mercury in Aries. And you could be just right now thinking that, well, somebody in the background of your life or some situation in the background of your life is not right. In other words, there's trouble brewing. And it's because Mars and the moon are in Sagittarius right behind your sun sign. And yet Mars is going to change, and it's going to come into your sun sign next week, Capricorn. And that is why I think that you are so convinced that you've got to uphold the truth or do something properly without skipping steps and without rushing, that you may decide you're going to hold up some new beginning because it isn't right yet. And you could be correct in that, Capricorn, but you have to watch carefully what you do, because behind the scenes there can be people that want to stop you or who are very jealous of you right now or envious. And so you better slow down and rethink everything right now, Capricorn. And if I were you, I would wait another week until Mars comes into your sign where it is exalted, and that will give you even more power to do what you feel you need to do. Just be careful for now. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, there aren't any planets in the air signs, and Jupiter in Scorpio is still squaring your sign, which is a financial sign, but it also rules justice, and it is going retrograde. And that simply means that there could be a matter, Aquarius, that you thought had been overlooked to your benefit, or it involves credit or debt or inheritance or insurance or bills of some kind, or even taxes, and you may have thought that you could sort of slide by. But since Jupiter is going retrograde tomorrow, I would say that there is a financial matter or a bill that is, the problem's going to come up again, Aquarius, and you're really going to have to do it, because this is a year when you've got to pay up somehow, or repay an old debt, or square a record and do things right. And you could be reminded of that right now. And remember, your ruler, Uranus, could be also involved in some sort of betrayal, since it is in Aries. And that's why if I were you, I would proceed cautiously now as well. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you can be full of good intentions to work for the better good or the greater good. And that is because the Sun is conjuncting Neptune, your own ruler, in your sign, and it is being trine by Jupiter in Scorpio, which will go retrograde tomorrow. And when it does, it's going to go back over ground it's already covered before, and that will expose more people who are involved in cover-ups or conspiracies, or it will just involve more phonies who can be involved in the net of justice. And so that is something that if you've been on the side of the angels, you're going to be protected and everything will be fine. But on the other hand, with the Moon and Mars in Sagittarius squaring your sun sign, it simply means that you could be in for a little trouble from people who are malicious, or who can be making a lot of noise and wanting to start something new and maybe pushing you beyond what you're comfortable with, Pisces. So this is a time when you really should be careful, particularly if you're traveling or if you are around people that are prone to anger. You should stay away from them. They could be dangerous for you. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on our website, and you can read our blog and hear our podcast on STARBORNinstitute.org. Bye.